Yeah, Bureau Veritas was founded as a classification society in 1828. Marine classification was our main activity well into the 1980s and 1990s. Since then, we have diversified, we have grown significantly. Today, we are a multi-industry testing, inspection, and certification organization, the second largest in the world, and the largest one offering marine classification. So, while we are not the largest classification society in the world, I believe we are well positioned in our changing world with a large and expanding range of clients in many markets. So we have a core purpose of providing benefit to the society through our activities directly supporting our clients to meet or exceed the required standards in the market today. Some of the services we offer to the marine and offshore industry we deliver through our commodities and industry organizations. Services such as fuel testing quality through Verifuel. The main issue here is to prepare for the transition. Each operator needs to prepare an implementation plan based on each vessel. They need to consider the installation on board the fuel tanks, the fuel system on board their vessels. They need to evaluate questions such as how do we clean the tanks? How do we prepare ourselves? How do we make a loop strategy? How do we check our purchase contracts? Do we need to change and update anything compared to that? And next to all those questions on the more technical side, you also need to consider the crew training. Are the crew properly prepared for this? Do they understand about heating capacities, cold flow properties of fuels, potentially compatibility issues, how to treat these fuels? Those are all very important questions that each operator needs to do based on their specific vessels. And when you look at the fuels by themselves, the things to really consider is cold flow properties and balance that to those heating capacities and heating requirements on board the vessels. Another thing that's been discussed a lot in the industry is about compatibility between fuels. Recent studies done in the industry about the new fuels and how they behave seems to indicate that this risk of experiencing compatibility may be slightly overplayed. Compatibility has been a problem in the past. It is now if you get the wrong fuels mixed together, and it will also be after 2020. But it's a lot about preparedness and understanding what to deal with and make sure that your crew is probably equipped to understand those challenges also in the future. If I could change one thing, I would like to make the industry more transparent, to increase the transparency and also reduce the concern and the fear there is in the market. Based on all the unknowns about the new fuels in the industry, there has been a lot of breaking news approach in the media. Everybody wanted to be the one that could explain what's going to happen. And human nature is that we tend to focus on the more negative sides rather than on what may go well. The media also spiked this concern, this mistrust, the scaremongering with all those fuel incidents that we saw last year. That only spiked the concern in the industry of what we may face in 2020. So with all this scaremongering that has been and the focus on all the negative side, it's also generated a lot of concern and mistrust in the industry between the various parties. So if the industry could come together and work towards a common goal and share knowledge, share information, we could also focus more, put the energy where it's needed in the preparation and really deal with the core items that's relevant to look at here. Transparency would result in better knowledge about the fuels that's being sold and purchased in the future and could also reduce the concern and fear that we have in the industry. Based on the knowledge we have about the 2020 fuels so far, they look good. They seem to be stable, and the compatibility risk seems to be less than what we had feared in the industry. The cold flow properties versus the ship's heating capacities, they need to be considered. That's a real thing due to the fuel's composition of the future. I think that most operators are prepared. They're well ahead in their planning processes for their individual fleets. But the ones that's trying to deny IMO 2020 should not do so. They should rather embrace the change and start to focus on preparing for the future and get it done. The oil companies started their preparation in 2016 when IMO agreed on the 1st of January 2020 enforcement date. And I think it's time now that the operators, all operators, they really get into that and also start their preparation. And I'm quite sure that 2020 will be much safer and less risky than what's been predicted by a lot of people.